We humans are a very unique species here on the planet Earth. Unlike most other wildlife creatures, we've developed a structured society, currency, video games, welfare, advanced technology, governments, and... Yeah, we've also done some not so great things also. DNA is weird. It's the building blocks that make us human, and a tree, well, a tree. Did you know that we share 60% of our DNA, for example, with chickens, but also bananas? We're also genetically similar to fruit flies by 60% as well. In today's video, we're sharing with you some of the most human-like wild creatures you can find on Earth. And we're not just focused on genetic similarity. We'll also be focused on other traits such as behavior, whether the creature is self-conscious, and how the creature interacts in a group. Are you perhaps related to elephants and dolphins? Let's find out. So number one on the list is very obvious, so we're going to get it out of the way real quick so we can get to the more fascinating ones. Number one is, of course, apes, and basically everyone knows a fair amount about them, so the information is kind of redundant. But let's go and let's take a look at how we are similar. We share, for example, 96% of our DNA with chimps, and chimps and bonobos also have learned how to craft weapons in order to help them get food. This is in the wild, this wasn't learned from us, but through us they've also learned how to craft other tools, but bonobos, for example, will make little tools to help them get food. They can also be found playing, forming groups, sometimes even mourning the loss of a loved one, which was only thought to be a human thing, but as we're going to see here, there are other creatures which do this as well. Some apes can even be taught sign language and communicate with us. And in one study, humans dressed up like chimps and created a movie, and the chimps got so engaged in the movie that they forgot about things like food and water. Sound like you? Some apes have also been able to lie, which is typically not a trait found in wild creatures besides humans. Bonobos, finally, are one of the few wild creatures not to have sex just for pure reproductive purposes, but also just for fun. They also will have same-sex pleasure with each other, and it's a method of kind of reducing conflict. Bonobos between each other are very, very peaceful, which is much unlike a lot of humanity. Number two on the list is elephants. What? Elephants look nothing like humans, but we actually share many similarities. For example, they're self-conscious, and not many creatures in the world are self-conscious. What this means is they have a distinct sense of self, and they're able to recognize themselves in a mirror. So for example, if we put a little dot on their head, they look in the mirror and they go, whoa, this isn't supposed to be here. Elephants are arguably more emotional, creative, and also certainly less violent than apes as well. Some herds and sanctuaries were formed because the members had same experiences growing up and in the rest of their lives. They're actually extremely social, while they may not appear to be, and often feel a need to comfort each other the best they can. They can also be found playing with each other. Elephants are a very peaceful animal as well. Humans, through time, have fought many wars. The other side of this, though, is that humans have advanced through the ages by being peaceful with one another, furthering their goals and growing to become the dominant species. Elephants are also like this, although they don't plan on conquering the world. They're more interested in conquering hunger for themselves. But they do make groups, and they're very peaceful for the most part, and they try to take care of each other. They're also quite creative to the point where they figured out ways to speak human languages or understand them in an effort to socialize with us. Of course, we're also creative, and it's pretty crazy just how creative elephants can be. Some can even be taught how to paint. I don't know how ethical this is. We just saw some videos online of that. This may be one of those situations where it's not quite ethical, but elephants are actually quite creative and intelligent. They also have a fascinating way of communicating. So they might just appear to kind of stand there, but they actually can communicate by stomping on the ground in certain ways, which is very subtle and something we wouldn't detect, but it's a way that they can communicate. So it sounds strange that elephants are human-like, But in short, they're highly social, form groups, take care of each other, and try to be peaceful as well. This last one might be the furthest from what you might think is human, but it is here. Dolphins. Did you know that in 2013, India classified dolphins as non-human persons with their own specific set of rights? This made it illegal to keep dolphins in captivity or hunt them. India was the first government to pass such a law, but now it seems that the world is following India in their decision. All because they live in the water doesn't make them unlike us. Dolphins are very social, playful, and emotional creatures, and technically they're mammals as well, meaning they need air to breathe, just like us. You see, they form groups of dolphins, which we actually call pods in the ocean, and they work together to raise their young, they hunt together, play together, and protect each other. When the elderly dolphins get too old, they take care of them and even help them swim to the surface to get some air. Some dolphins have even been observed potentially mourning over the loss of their young. Dolphins have also found ways to make tools out of the ocean. For example, and these aren't as effective as the types of tools that apes are making, but they will use a special sponge to protect themselves from getting hurt from the ocean floor when they're hunting. So if they're looking for some food on the ocean floor, sometimes there's all kinds of different things which could scratch them or hurt them, like rocks, and they'll put this sponge in between their belly and the rock so that way they don't get hurt from it. Did you know that dolphins also have their own unique set of language? You see, we have different languages and dialects, and some dolphins have been observed as speaking different dialects. So we can't hear them with our normal ears, but by using cool science stuff, it is true that they speak and listen to each other and that they actually have different dialects. Dolphins also give each other names. They've been observed having a unique whistle for every single dolphin. So for example, you might be Bob, your neighbor might be Sally, and we have essentially just a word which fundamentally is just sound, which our brains can interpret as a name. And that's what creates your name. And this is how we, talk with each other. And dolphins actually do the same thing. They have different dialects. So they might kind of have we have the more British English or Australian English or American English. And they have different types of dialects. And then they also have names. Like elephants, dolphins are also self-conscious and can recognize themselves in a mirror. They have distinct identities with their names, but they even have sexual identity. An Australian study discovered, for example, that some dolphins had same-sex relationships or even bisexual relationships. When studying the dolphin brain, it's also been observed that our brains are quite similar. We are still quite a bit more developed, of course, in our brain, specifically the front part where we make all of our higher function type decisions, but it's very well possible that our brains evolved in a similar fashion, and in the next 100,000 years or something like that, their brains could continue evolving to the point where they could potentially be as intelligent as us. Of course, then the question is, what would we be then? So in short, we're not alone in being self-conscious or having sexual identity or a desire for peace and compassion. Knowing this is kind of humbling, for it's easy to be disconnected in our cities filled with cement and loud cars and motorbikes and stuff like this. What do you think of this? And do you know any other wild creatures that are similar to humans? We would love to hear it by you leaving a comment. And we'd also love it if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, Wildlife X Team International. And we love wildlife. So if you have a wildlife problem, such as an infestation or a pest infestation, give us a call at 855-WILDLIFE and we'll be sure to ethically remove the creature and return it safely to the wild. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this. My name is Michael with Wildlife X Team, and I hope you guys all have a great day.
They're out there looking for a home, and they found one. Yours. They want that cozy place in your attic or under your foundation. Give them enough time and you'll be paying big bucks to fix their damage. Wildlife X Team specializes in removal and prevention of wildlife infestation, responsibly and professionally. Wildlife X Team has earned the top-rated award from Home Advisors because they're experts at what they do. Just one call and they're gone. 855-WILDLIFE or wildlifexteam.com.